Good afternoon and welcome once again to Governance Leadership Summit 2021. Governance Leadership Summit is an endeavor by Elites Technomedia and e-Governance magazine to bring together the country's topmost policymakers, administrators, officers, and experts from the industry to come on a common platform and discuss and deliberate upon the scope, opportunities, ideas, and innovations which are shaping the governance ecosystem, particularly against the backdrop of the COVID pandemic. This 2 days virtual conference started today early in the morning at 9:30, wherein we are joined by eminent speakers from Government of India. We had the privilege of hosting Mr. Durga Shankar Mishra, Secretary, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, Government of India, as the chief guest and keynote addressee in the morning. Thereafter, we had a number of other additional secretary and secretary level officers from the Government of India who outlined their vision of a transformational governance in the 21st century India. Thereafter, we had an interactive panel discussion on the role of technology into turning the vision into reality. As we all know, whenever we talk of transformation, we talk of innovation, we talk of renovation, then technology takes a center stage. So how we can leverage the technology effectively to move on to the next level of governance, we had an interactive panel discussion before the lunch, wherein we had participants from the states of Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, Uttar Pradesh, and Tripura, as well as there were a few experts from the industry as well. Moving on, in the post-lunch period, the first panel discussion of the post-lunch, we are joined by eminent speakers from the district administration who will be giving a discussion and talk on a very relevant and a very apt topic of the day, effectiveness of district and public administration in combating COVID-19 crisis. The COVID-19 crisis has been one of the most unprecedented crises in the human history in recent times. In fact, there has been no parallels. If I talk of the last 100 years of history, there has been no parallel of a pandemic of this scale. So without having any prior experience or any standard operating procedures or any written manuals or written rules, it must have been a real difficult task for the district administrators to rise to the occasion and deliver what was expected out of them. So at this level, at the forefront of this war against the COVID war, the district administrators, by their sheer presence of mind and the sheer application of innovative ideas and practices, they were able to navigate us out of this crisis and steering their respective regions forward. So here I am joined by eminent speakers, all district administrators currently or had been district administrators in the past. Please join me in welcoming Mrs. Sonal Goyal, Special Resident Commissioner, Government of Tripura. Sonal is an IS officer of 2008 batch, presently working as Special Resident Commissioner, Government of Tripura, based out of New Delhi. We will shortly be joined by Mr. Nitin Bhadoria, District Magistrate, Almora, Government of Uttarakhand. Then we are joined by Dr. Rajkamal Yadav, District Magistrate and District Collector, Bagpat, Government of Uttar Pradesh. Dr. Rajkamal Yadav is a 2013 batch IAS officer. Another IAS officer of 2013 batch, Mr. Arun Mahesh Babu, is a District Development Officer in Ahmedabad, Government of Gujarat. And then finally, we have a young IAS officer of 2018 batch, Mr. Vikramaditya Singh Malik, who is currently serving as a joint magistrate in Bijnor, Uttar Pradesh. So please join me in welcoming this eminent panel who have been at the forefront of our battle against the COVID crisis. So to start with, I invite Mrs. Sonal Goyal to deliver our opening remarks on the topic, effectiveness of district and public administration in combating COVID-19 crisis. Sonal Goyal, Special Resident Commissioner, Government of Tripura, New Delhi. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mishra. Namaste and good afternoon to my fellow panelists, to all the viewers who are connected with us today through this online webinar. A very important issue which we have been discussing over, in fact, from the last year itself, how the public administration or how per se the administration at various levels of the country, the center, the state, district, panchayats, how they have been responding to the challenges which have been posed by COVID-19 pandemic. Year 2020 saw the dawn of a pandemic which we as human beings, which we never had thought of we would be facing. And The magnitude and the impact which it started creating was beyond our estimations. But we rose to the challenge and humanity faced COVID-19 pandemic through its resilience. Unfortunately, when the curve of COVID-19 pandemic started sloping down in last year towards November, December, we again started seeing a rise in the curve 2020, in the year 2021, starting from March itself. And when we see the numbers, it even crossed around 4 lakh of cases being reported on a daily basis in the second wave. So if we compare it with the first wave had maximum cases being reported around, say, 1 lakh or so per day. That was the maximum in the entire country. But in the second wave, we saw that it crossed even the mark of 4 lakhs. So that was a huge challenge which was posed all across the country, all across the states. And the way it was creating an impact on the health infrastructure, whether we talk about the normal beds or the ICU beds or the ventilator beds, the availability of oxygen concentrators, the availability of all other kind of medicines which were being prescribed by the ICMR, by the senior doctors at AIMS. So all those things came into picture during this second wave of the pandemic. And we have seen, not in one state, but all across the country, all of the states have been able to cope up. Of course, we saw quite a number of fatalities. Almost every one of us, unfortunately, has lost someone near in our family or the friend circle. But I believe that there have been a systematic handling. Of course, there were initially some hiccups because probably we were not prepared. We were not prepared for the number of beds availability, for the number of oxygen concentrators, etc. But then we have seen, whether it is Tripura or whether it is Haryana or for any part of the country, there has been a huge augmentation of the oxygen concentrators. States have set up separate oxygen plants. There has been special hospitals which have been created, especially, for example, by DRDO. DRDO has immensely contributed by setting up COVID dedicated hospitals. When we talk special efforts by administration, I would like to mention that in India we had this strategy for testing, tracing, and quarantine. So testing, tracing, and quarantine was one of the very important aspect which was being followed. So wherein we were focusing on aggressive testing and making the patients quarantine or in home isolation if they were having no symptoms or even mild symptoms. And if there is any need for hospitalization, then they were being hospitalized. And then the contact tracing. So this strategy has been very effective in our country. Also, one very important aspect is with respect to the vaccination. In our country, we started vaccination in a phase-wise manner. In this year, it was started. Initially, it was for senior citizens, then it was for frontline workers, then from the age of 45 years plus, and then of course it is now open for all up to from 18 years of age. Until yesterday, the data says that around 26 crore of vaccination doses had been administered across the country. So when we are talking about that 26 crores of vaccine doses have been given, so that automatically means that there has been at least 18 to 20 percentage of the population which has been covered. Of course, I know that this 26 crore vaccination doses would mean that some of the people have received the second dose also. However, this number is rising every day, and it is good that now people are also realizing the importance of getting themselves vaccinated. They are trying to get the online slots being booked, and we are giving it an emphasis at all levels, whether it is the district administration, they are carrying out IC activities. from the health department also, so many educational communication activities are being done to create more awareness. So that is really commendable. And whatever restrictions we have seen during the last lockdown and during this lockdown, there has been little bit of differentiation. Like last year we had faced the issue of handling the migrant workers in all across the big towns, especially the migrant workers, especially when last year I was posted in Gurugram. So we saw that migrant workers from all across the country, especially from Bihar, UP, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, they were stuck up there. Administration had the responsibility of not only feeding them but also providing them all logistics, stay facilities, and administration could do it with support, of course, of the citizens of the civil society organizations. Many NGOs came forward, so that was an issue which was being helped out. And also we even in the last COVID pandemic wave, and even in the second wave, we have seen the contribution being done by the civil society organizations. I would like to mention that all the NGO, civil society organizations, public spirited citizens at their individual levels, while in the first wave they were trying to help in feeding the people who are living in slums, in getting people having the logistic supports. This year, the emphasis has been, of course, on the medical support, because that has been a crisis which we all face. So, in availability of medicines, then donation of oxygen concentrators, help by the big companies in setting up of oxygen plants. So, all these exercises. Why I'm mentioning is that all these exercises reinforce the fact that administration and citizen are to work in tandem, in partnership with each other. And if we are having this kind of a partnership and understanding, then no challenge is big for us to face. One very important aspect which this pandemic has shown to us, and it is actually leading to the changes in the way we are governing the country, is the digitalization, the digital initiatives which have been taken across the country. So when this first wave hit us, there was a huge hue and cry that the offices should be shut down. There should be work from home. The work from home was being there. Most of the private sector companies, most of the MNCs were already having some set of mechanisms. But when we talk about government, this was one aspect which was quite lacking. So we started emphasizing more on e-office, the official movement of files being through online systems, and how to reduce the physical movement of files. And now most of the state governments, including Haryana, including Tripura, they are taking initiatives for taking these digital initiatives across all the departments, not only one department, across all the departments. So I think that is very important, that the physical interaction to be reduced. Even this platform like this, wherein we are discussing the initiatives all across the country, we have senior administrators from all across the country. These were usually till last year were being held physically. Now we are connected more digitally, for whether it is for education of the school kids, whether it is the education of the college going students, any kind of training program. So everything is digital. So I think this is also very important aspect which this COVID-19 pandemic has made us realize, and we are more and more moving towards the digital initiatives. Not speaking much because we have other speakers also. I would just conclude that there are few things which we all still need to keep in mind, that this pandemic is still not over. Like if I talk about vaccination, so in Tripura, the recent data shows that Tripura is the second highest, sorry, it's the state which is having the second highest percentage of the population which has been vaccinated, and we are trying that it comes at the first slot. So the top three states, I think, are Himachal, Ladakh, states and UTs together if you put. So it is, I think, Himachal Pradesh, Tripura and Ladakh. So this vaccination needs to be given much more emphasis. People should not be having apprehension about any ill effect or any side effect of vaccination. And if we analyze the situation today, there cannot be a denial that we won't be facing a third wave. So there are all kind of speculations that third wave will come, the impact of third wave. would be even higher than the second wave. But nothing conclusive, I think, is available on this. So we all need to understand that whatever are the precautions which are being advised by the government, by the authorities, by the health department, health authorities, they should be taking care of that. Even though now the lockdown is being opened in a phase-wise manner, we are having phase-wise reopening of the lockdown. Most of the states are giving this phase-wise relaxation, but the COVID appropriate behaviors, using of mask when you are moving out, adopting social distancing, not moving out if it is not necessary, maintaining personal hygiene, use of sanitizers, all these still need to be there. And it is still a way to go. I would believe that still next few months, at least till October, till September, October, are still crucial for our country. And I'm very much hopeful that the way we have worked in these two waves, we all hope and we all pray that we are not having that much impact if the COVID third wave is there. And if it is there, then we should be able to come out of it in a better way, in a smoother way. That is, I think, which we all should be trying upon. So these were my initial remarks. Thank you so much. I would uh, end my brief discussion here. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Madam Sonal Goyal, for this insight on the COVID crisis and the government's response to the crisis. From the onset of the first wave last year, when we had the deficiency of even the most basic medical equipments, such as the PPEs, to handling the second wave effectively, albeit a bit lately, but effectively, ultimately, we were able to curb the second wave. We had traveled miles and miles as far as COVID management is concerned. You had mentioned a very heartening thing that Tripura ranks number 2 as far as the percentage of population covered by vaccination is concerned. There is no denying that vaccination is the only route for getting nirvana from this COVID pandemic. And I do hope and my best wishes that soon Tripura ranks number 1 on this parameter as well. You also spoke about the collaborative partnership between the civil society and the government. It's very true that in today's times, particularly on a pandemic and a crisis of such a magnitude and such a scale, without a collaborative partnership, it would not be only be possible on behalf of the government to steer us through this crisis. Thank you so much. You mentioned a lot of other points also, but we have other speakers. So coming back, I will now invite Mr. Rajkamal Yadav, District Magistrate and District Collector, Bagpat, Government of Uttar Pradesh, to kindly share his perspective on the topic, effectiveness of district and public administration in combating COVID-19 crisis, with a particular reference to any unique initiative or challenge which you might have faced in your territory of Bagpat. Mr.
Thank you so much, Mishraji. First of all, I'd like to thank you that you welcomed us and invited all of us here to share our views. Let me start by saying and emphasizing on one very important point, that this pandemic has brought out the work culture as a team in all the districts, in all the administrations, and I'm sure that everybody must be agreeing on that. A better coordinated teamwork, no one has ever seen that. In fact, at least we have been working for 7-8 years, but a better teamwork has never been done so far. With this pretext, Bagpat is situated at a place where we are so near to NCR. We are bordering with Sonipat, Ghaziabad, Delhi, Meerut, Hapur, Bulandshahr. But still we are very much rural into the, in that context, that things are not that much developed here. We don't have big hospitals. We don't have big establishments here. The kind of support which big districts were getting, that was lacking here. So our first and foremost challenge which we were facing in Bagpat was that our residents which were residing in Noida, Ghaziabad, Delhi, or in Sonipat, when they were not getting beds or access to medical facilities there, they were returning back to Bagpat. And when somebody was coming back to Bagpat, the situation and the infrastructure which we were having already in place was not prepared or was not enough to handle that kind of load. So we were already struggling with our own patients, and then suddenly there was a huge influx from Delhi, huge influx from Ghaziabad, because things were not as comfortable when this whole COVID thing started. So that was our first challenge, and we met out in a very systematic manner in Bagpat. So what we did was we hired 6-7 big colleges, engineering college, which we were having in Bagpat, and then we decided, in collaboration with district Meerut, we decided segregating patient, in which if somebody was having low frequency or low severity of the disease, we would take them from Meerut and shift them to Bagpat, and somebody who is having a moderate or severe kind of disease in Bagpat, we will shift them to Meerut. So that kind of shifting was we were having between Meerut and Hapur. By that way, those facilities which were the tertiary facilities which were more effectively and more efficiently used between these three districts, and that model was very much successful, by which we can optimize our resources and optimize our output also. The second most important challenge which we were facing was like all our neighboring district was having some sort of oxygen filling plant or refilling plant. But Bagpat being a very small district, we were not having any source of oxygen. We were totally dependent on cylinders, no plant, nothing. And when this thing came, we thought that this is going to be a big hurdle for us in maintaining, this COVID situation in our district. So right at the beginning, when everybody was thinking about oxygen concentrators, we got in touch with our old friends, civil societies, all NGOs which were in our touch. And before any could order, and I could gladly say that the first lot which came into India through CSR or through NGOs, we got a hold of that, and then initially we got 100 oxygen concentrators, and which actually helped us in reducing our oxygen demand, and that was a big savior for us. And by that way we could control our oxygen delivery and maintain ICU kind of setups. So once that was done and oxygen concentrators was released to us, next thing we did was we established our own ICU unit, because initially when the first wave came, we were running with only 2 or 3 ventilators, but this time we made sure that we run our own ventilators in the tune of at least 30 to 40. So this kind of setup was medical setup which was built from scratch, having a very rural background, and bringing it up to a facility which can handle a load of at least 1,000 2,000 patients per day. So that kind of teamwork was done with the medical staff, administration officers, and all other people who were engaged in it. There is a third thing which I would like to emphasize, that the kind of support which we were getting from public, that was tremendous, and you know no one has ever seen that kind of support. Usually whenever there is something happening in a at any place, people usually say that okay, we are not having public support, people are getting a lot of problems, and all those things were happening. But this was one part where everybody was coming out with whatever help they can. So whatever we asked them or whatever they offered, we took it with open arms, and that was actually helping us out. So overall, if you see that the kind of pandemic, the kind of severity of the disease which were happening in all around the world, especially in our country, the coordination between various administrative departments and the coordination between departments and the public was of exemplary in nature, and everybody was appreciating that. And in Uttar Pradesh, our Honorable Chief Minister, at the very start of it, right from the first day when I was heading Ayush Department in Uttar Pradesh, from that time itself, he was focusing on building, the kind of the concept of immunity, the concept of preventive medications, the concept of having a good health, you know, a good human lifestyle kind of thing. So those initiatives were very much helpful in Uttar Pradesh, and right from start when it struck us, we were focusing on test, treat, and track concept. So the rapid response team concept was very highly hammered from the top. Even at every moment, our honorable CM was monitoring it, and how many rapid response team we are having in districts. And it was vision that in 24 hours we should track each and every positive patient. And in this whole scenario of managing and maintaining COVID, one very unique concept came, which was of ICCC. And ICCC, like the Integrated COVID Control Command Center, that concept was built in each and every district, and the whole idea was that there should be one place which could manage each and everything in the district. If you need oxygen, you call that number, you will get an oxygen cylinder. If you need a bed, you call that number, you will be shifted to a hospital facility where you need either you need an oxygen bed, you need a simple isolation bed, or you need an ICU bed. That center will coordinate. If that facility is not available in the district, that center will coordinate with another district or another higher facility, L3 facilities in nearby districts or some anywhere wherever it is available, and you'll be shifted there. The entire coordination of shifting, arranging an ambulance will be done by that center. Even if there is a very, very flimsy or very, very small query, you are getting concerned about, COVID, that query will also be resolved by that center. So that kind of one-stop center kind of approach was utilized in all the district in Uttar Pradesh, and we were also having the same kind of setup in our district, wherein we were using more than 16 incoming lines and more than 20 outgoing lines, by which anybody calls us, we call them back or help them out whatever way they want. And other than that, district Bagpat, we also utilized our Ayush practitioners services, because we were feeling that the regular allopathic practitioners, which was actively involved in COVID duties and everything, they were getting exhausted after a point of time. And then this system of medicine came rope in, and they were helping us out in various forms. Like if we are not having doctors who can go and visit homes, we were using Ayush doctors, and they were going home and at a patient home and talking to them, helping them out, counseling them. They're talking to them over phone. We also created a system where each group of 40 positive patients was connected to one Ayush doctor, and we call them mentors kind of thing, wherein they were free to call that doctor any time of the day, like 24/7 kind of thing, if they need anything, like a medical support or basically counseling kind of thing. Or suddenly there was a lot of panic happening in the public, that if you do not use your pulse oximeter in the right position, suddenly your oxygen level shows 90 and you are panicking that, okay, doctor, my oxygen level has gone to 90. At that point of time, we realized that this manpower were very much helpful to tell them that, okay, you please recheck it, are you placing it rightly. So that kind of help. So what I'm trying to say that this ICCC concept came in very handy, wherein all the information was collaborated and collected at one place, and from that single source point, it was distributed and disseminated to all the people who were in requirement of it, which helped us in controlling the situation. Because otherwise, what was happening that in earlier scenarios, that everybody was calling everybody. The same person will call me also, the same person will call my superintendent of police also, the same person will call my CMO also, the same person will call my SDM also, and he will be asking the same thing, and all four of us will be doing the same thing for one single person. And that was trying to reduplicate our efforts So that was very visionary of our honorable CM, that he introduced this concept, and we utilized it very successfully. The other thing which, as madam was saying, I'm sorry for this. the, the other thing which was happening in Bagpat, as ma'am is saying, that Tripura is number one in as per the percentage of population. District Bagpat is number 2 in the entire Uttar Pradesh, and in terms of covering our so I'm really sorry. In terms of covering our population, currently we stand at number 61.23% of our vaccine. Maybe एक सेकेंड ना, थोड़ा ले लो ना आप लोग. I'm sorry, he hurted himself, so I have to come back from office. So the vaccination is the next very important step in which someone has to look at it, because as everybody is discussing and everybody is planning and preparing for third wave, I think if you talk from Uttar Pradesh point of view, I can tell you that we are targeting vaccination in 3 different strategies. One is dedicatedly done for parents. Those parents which are having kids less than 12 years old, we are focusing for their specialized camps. We are going into the schools. We are taking details from each and every school, whether it is primary, junior, private, or any sort of a school. We are trying to get those numbers, that what is the strength of our students, क्या उनका age group कितना है, and that by that information we are collaborating and collecting and planning our sessions that all those parents which are having kids less than 12-year-olds get vaccinated on priority. Then, and the second step, we are also trying to protect those people who are directly coming into the contact of our kids, like teachers, people who are bringing them in buses, caretakers, maids, all those people. So this is a very visionary plan of our honorable CM, and we are working on that. That those people who are coming in direct touch of people or contact of people, they should get vaccinated on priority, and all districts are working on that. And third thing, having the experience of our past two waves, each and every district is preparing for their own in-house PICU and NICU. In the same process, we are also developing a 50-bed PICU in Baghpat, which is almost ready, and we'll be able to, get it in working condition in next 1 week or 2 weeks. So that is the preparation of third wave. But I think if we follow and those kind of measures which has been eased and tried and tested, we'll be definitely be able to control the impact and the effect of third wave. I think this is all from Baghpat, and we'll be here to discuss anything else which comes up. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Rajkamal Yadav. Despite the adorable disturbance, we could see you are able to put forth your views on how effectively your district was able to fend away with this COVID crisis. As rightly mentioned by Mrs. Sonal Goyal before you, that this second wave of the pandemic was very deadly, and hardly we would be coming across any acquaintance or friends who had not a casualty or an infection in near and dear ones. Despite that, this pandemic had given two positive takeaways, if I could take from your talk. One, about the aspect of close interdepartmental coordination, which you mentioned that never before was seen such level of close coordination between different departments of the government, all acting in tandem for a common cause. The second aspect, positive aspect of this crisis was the support of the people, which you mentioned that you were lucky enough to have enough support of people, and which we also believe that without active civil society participation, it will be difficult for the government to tide over the crisis. You did mention about the role of technology in the form of integrated command and control systems at each and every district headquarters. Despite being a predominantly rural district, you were able to quickly scale up to meet up to, and rise up to the occasion and do away with this crisis. So hats off to the district administration for being at the forefront of this war against COVID. And finally, you also mentioned about how you were able to deploy non-MBBS doctors or IUS doctors in the COVID duties because of scarcity of MBBS doctors, allopathic doctors. So these were some of the unique initiatives. One unique initiative which you mentioned was the symbiotic relationship between the district of Meerut and Baghpat, wherein you mentioned that more severe patients used to be referred to Meerut, bigger hospitals at tertiary facilities at Meerut, and vice versa. So this was one of the unique practices. And in fact, this is one of the major objectives of this program also, this knowledge exchange conference, to take away the best practices of one region to another region and vice versa. In the meanwhile, we are joined by senior IAS officer, Mr. Nitin Singh Bhadoria of 2011 batch, currently serving as district magistrate, Almora. Welcome to this panel discussion on effectiveness of district administration in fighting of the COVID pandemic, sir. Mr. Nitin Bhadoria, welcome to this program. I am Krishna Mishra from Elite Technomedia.
Thank you, Mishraji, and I hope everybody can hear me. This is Nitin this side, and thank you so much, ma'am, for your views, Sonal ma'am, and everybody who's joined in. Of course, Raj, it was a real delight to see your child interrupting, because we also face the same situation, and children are how they are. So all the esteemed panel mates, we have a small presentation over here. So I thought, it could structure our thoughts, and we'll not take too much time. So I'll just be sharing that small presentation. So this is something that we did for our district, Almora. I believe everybody's done a wonderful job in the district. So as Game Bhagat himself was sharing, the vision of the Honorable CM of UP. So similarly, under the vision of Honorable CM Uttarakhand, we also started with few initiatives. Our most important initiatives have been the GISM and its use in the planning process. So the just having some problems with the PPT. Just a second. So here, in order to start, understand, because geography is a concern in the hills, and being a comparatively, hilly district, we have 1161 gram panchayats in Almora, 11 blocks, 16 tehsils. So it's a huge district in terms of the challenges that it poses to contain the COVID pandemic. And of course, to reach the last mile connectivity is still a problem in the hills. You have to walk for a certain distance to reach certain houses, and so it was major challenge how to link this complete activity to the planning process. So I think it was a challenge for everybody because district administration after the first wave had not realized that the second wave could be so deadly as when the planning process started. So it was an innovative challenge with respect to how you are going to deal with it. And I think each district took its own path. It's just what we did. We are trying to share over here. So we established a dedicated control room for monitoring of COVID cases. The district medical department was also sitting over here, and virtually we were trying to log in. We were having teleconsultations. We were having all sort of facilities at one control room to look forward to containing COVID. So this is the COVID facility map that we use for planning. This GIS-based planning that we went for, as you could see, the oxygen concentrators and oxygen cylinders were typically allocated to each CHC, APHC, and each SDH that district had. The medical college that was available in Almora itself, the district hospital, female hospital. So we used what was available and what was the allocation that was being made, and ultimately all the beds in the CHCs, PHCs, APHCs were turned into oxygen-supported beds, either through the use of oxygen concentrator or oxygen cylinder. Similarly, oxygen generation plants were also planned up, and we took support from different foundations. We also took money from SDRF to plan it out. The MLA funds was utilized, and oxygen generation plants have also been, taken up. So, the testing facilities were similarly, mapped onto the GIS network, and of course, at the end of the day, all the MOICs and all the health, staff was made available on the contact, as the contact details were listed, and they were made available so that people could get access to it and they can have an idea about where the nearest lab is available to them. So as you can understand, the hills, the time taken to travel is a little more than what it is in the plains. So the accessibility issue was tried to curtail using through that, and the capacity and everything, how many samples could be taken, when the sample would be tested, when the report was, everything was mapped onto this GIS facility, and similarly was taken ahead. We also, after planning for the entire district, we also came down to each block, and as I shared earlier, for all APHCs and PHC which were catered by a particular PHC, this entire map was again mapped, and of course number of beds, number of cylinder types, concentrators, everything was just put on to this complete data was made, and it was put onto the GIS network so that nearest oxygen supported bed was identified, and the person could be taken over there for stabilization, and depending on the symptoms, he could be referred to a higher center within the district itself. This is for the other block, Takula. The previous facility was for the block Hawalba. Then this is for block Bikyasen. Of course, there are in all 11 blocks, so we used different mechanism to come, tackle the issues over here. We've also worked with a lot of NGOs. We've worked with the SBI Foundation, ICICI Foundation. They're establishing 3 oxygen generation plants in remote areas. of course, Polish Medical Mission, and a lot of individuals also came forward to help us build up this inventory. And I would like to make, I would like to thank everybody who came forward. But it was also important to, channelize this entire NGO activity. And we made an NGO cell. We also made a website, saying, we are interested in making some sort of contribution to Almora's fight against COVID, and we had an NGO cell which was supported by 3 or 4 officers, and they took up this further following up with them, and whatever effort, whatever documentation was needed, whatever collection points, say of oxygen concentrators collect, so the whole facilitation process was taken up by the NGO desk which was established over in the district. This is the COVID facility plan for our largest block, Tadikhet, which is basically supported by SDH Ranikhet. So, this is another facility block for block Dwarahat. This is for block Chowkutia. This is for a remote block Dhola Devi. This is for Ramgada. This is for Bhaisia Chana. And block Sialde. This is at the end of the day, this is what we had put up a support form, saying what do you want to do, how you could make it. So all sort of support that people wanted to make donations. That also came down to Red Cross Society in Almora, and since Red Cross Society is of course monitored, it has complete audits over here. So it was a completely transparent process, and anybody who made donation to Red Cross Society, his money, we also told them, this is what your money has been utilized for, and this is what we used for. So it was just a small presentation to give an idea about how Almora went through it. And of course, our death toll has been very limited to that extent. And we also would like to reiterate the fact that the planning process in the hills, of course, we had a lead time of what the situation was, so it gave us a little time to plan out everything. But I think we are also in the process of developing an app which would basically map the nearest facility and also give some sort of indication to the user that you should take your patient over here. Some sort of support when they log into the app in terms of the facility that is available, and the where they should take the patients. Some sort of support. So we are in the process of doing that. I think we already have a beta version in place. We'll be in position to launch it before the third wave strikes, and I think that will be the game. That is what we are expecting to be the game changer, so that we could curtail as much as loss of life as possible. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Bhadoria. Thank you so much for this beautiful presentation. I understand, being a person, a native of the same district, the difficulties of logistical challenges and lack of access to proper communication in the mountainous regions of Almora. Hats off to you for steering the district out of this crisis in a seamless manner. You mentioned about a very beautiful concept of empowerment of citizens, empowerment of people through ensuring access to right information to them, as well as educating them about COVID appropriate behaviors. You also mentioned about how effectively you were able to leverage technology by having put all the relevant information on the district website. And then finally, you also mentioned about the cross-sectoral and multi-scalar interaction between different government units, all working in tandem for a common cause. So thank you, District Magistrate Almora, Mr. Nitin Bhadoria, for this insightful presentation. Now, moving on, I would now like to invite Mr. Arun Mahesh Babu, District Development Officer, Ahmedabad, Government of Gujarat, to kindly give his perspective on the topic, effectiveness of district and public administration in combating COVID crisis. Mr. Arun Mahesh Babu.
Thank you, Shri K.C. Mishra. First of all, thank you for the opportunity for inviting for this Elets Technomedia series, where the effectiveness of district administration in combating COVID-19 is being discussed. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
So, just to get a perspective of how things are here. Ahmedabad, all of you must be knowing, is the 7th largest city in the country, and the district has about 10 talukas. So the scale of operations and the case load and the way the things were combated was at a different level altogether. Just to throw a perspective, like we have gone through a similar situation in almost the entire country. But Gujarat and Maharashtra being adjacent states and having a higher caseload, our strategy was slightly different from what the other friends would have been doing. Probably Ahmedabad being a district which has a very high urbanization and also about 10 rural talukas, the whole perspective, the way things were done had to be different because the expectation and the demand of the public is also higher. If you talk about, I'm sure already Raj has spoken about the governance and coordination between the various district departments, and Sonal ma'am has also talked about how the NGOs and foreign funding agencies have helped in getting the oxygen supplies up. But our learnings have been like from the first wave and the second wave into totally two different approaches. First wave we had no clue of how things are happening, so the only focus was testing, treat, and isolation, and finding the treatment. Second wave, it was all about oxygen. The oxygen crisis, which we have all seen, and how it was being, the stopgap arrangements were done. Later on, the PSA plants have been being installed from PM Cares as well as through corporates, and now the oxygen supplies are being ramped up. The third wave anticipation is all about more into the pediatrics and all this. Although many people claim that it will not be coming, but we are anticipating and we are preparing for that. The way Ahmedabad has done it was, by basically improving the COVID appropriate behavior and community engagement. The major challenge in India, which we all see, is once all of them comply with wearing masks and then going to the hospitals and getting treated. But once the wave goes down, all of us become slightly, laxative in the approach, and then mask wearing and social distancing all becomes a big question. So I think as leaders and as district administrators, it is a duty of all of us to focus more on COVID appropriate behavior and community engagement for the same. The role of police, health workers, health personnel, and the district administration has been very, very high. Ultimately, the only solution of coming out of this pandemic is fast and rapid and high scale vaccination. So I'm sure from 21st of June, we are all going to get supplies of vaccines, and we'll be ramping up the vaccinations very high. As of now, Gujarat has done about 30-35% of vaccination of its entire population, next to, I think, Uttar Pradesh in the state. So the only way out is high rate of vaccination. So what we are doing is we are going on a high-end vaccination in all the sub-centers, polling booth-wise. We are taking the data and listing out in rural areas. Now we are vaccinating polling booth-wise also, apart from sub-center-wise vaccination as well as PHC vaccinations. We've also opened up CVC centers here. Ahmedabad being a very high industrial district, most of the bigger companies like Honda, Maruti, Suzuki, Ford, Procter & Gamble, Coca-Cola, all of them we have tied up with private hospitals for private CVC vaccinations. So 25% of the allocation from Government of India goes to private hospitals, where the vaccination is being tied up to major chunk of the industries and the mobile population. From 18 to 44, we are doing decently well, and 44 plus, we are doing extremely well in terms of vaccination. Mobilization from rural areas is a major challenge, which due to a lot of disbelief or varied belief, it is difficult be convincing them, but we are convincing those people and bringing them to vaccination centers. If you talk about the testing capacity, Gujarat was a pioneer in testing based on Itihas software. So Itihas was an app which was developed by IIT Chennai and then later on implemented with Ahmedabad district primarily, and then later on scaled up, in which pink hotspots, amber hotspots used to evolve based on your digital log data, where the interaction of people with COVID positive was identified, and high amount of testing and surveillance was being done there. Our ASHA workers and Anganwadi workers and teachers were engaged in the surveillance. We have done about 5 to 6 times of surveillance that was done, and keep on continuous updation of surveillance is still happening. So surveillance based on hotspots and testing based on hotspots was a key to identify the major areas where the case loads used to come. Ahmedabad is fortunate enough to have so many hospitals. We have an entire Medicity with 8,000 government beds. Another government beds, if you see, we have another 2,000. So 10,000 government beds is what is seen in the district. And apart from which, private hospitals, including the city and rural, we have about 14,000 to 15,000 beds. So you can understand the scale of the caseload and the scale of things happening right here in the district. Now, the coming wave, we are anticipating a pediatric better management. So we are one of the districts which is pioneered in starting a pediatric survey. What we've done is we are starting the survey of 0 to 5, 5 to 10, and 10 to 15, based on the ICDS data, based on the RCH data, and based on the primary education data. We are identifying children based on their vulnerabilities and based on their congenital birth defects also, so that in case of a third wave or in case of a pediatric wave, they would be isolated first, and reverse quarantine of such patients would be done. Ahmedabad was also a pioneer in implementing reverse quarantine during the first wave, wherein the children and old age people were kept in isolation, and the spread was able to be controlled. If you give a specific input on that, now the pediatric survey is being undertaken in the Ahmedabad district, and that is being scaled up to the entire state also. In terms of oxygen supply, we have got PSA plants, about 15 PSA plants we have got them installed already through government participation as well as CSR contribution. Basic medicine kits have been given to each and every COVID isolation center in about 520 villages. So every 520 village has a COVID isolation center. In Gujarat, the Honorable CM launched a scheme called Maru Gam Corona Mukt Gam. Means my village is a Corona Mukt village. Later on, it was scaled up to Maru Ward, Corona Mukt Ward in urban areas in the cities. So if you see oxygen expansion as well as supply of oxygen concentrators, as well as supply of cylinders or HFNC kits has been done to the COVID care centers at the taluka level. Pediatric management and oxygen management being a specialized subject, it cannot be done at a very lower level. It needs specialized doctors. It needs specialized hospitals. So we've identified about 20 hospitals which will cater exclusively for pediatric patients, and we have got in ready as of now 800 COVID pediatric beds in the entire district. So and referral services per se, we have got 24 pediatric hospitals also in place. So what we intend to do is connect the pediatric surveillance data with the pediatric hospitals, with the pediatric doctors, and with the oxygen centers. Gujarat, fortunately, being an industrialized state, we have all the major manufacturers and suppliers like Reliance, Adani, Linde, Inox. All plants are being here, and we also have more of steel plants like ArcelorMittal and all have been supporting us with the oxygen. So as far as Ahmedabad is concerned, the scale of operations is the only difference between other districts and us. Otherwise, I am sure all the other districts and all the administrators in entire India are doing a wonderful job to the resources available and to the capabilities. And I'm sure the district administration coordination is one thing which major learning from Almora and Bagpat and from Tripura that we have learned and seen earlier. So this would help us in fighting it up. But nevertheless, there is no time for laxity for a third wave. And I'm sure what we have learned from the first wave and second wave, or probably an intermediate Diwali time wave, was that a wave would arise directly proportional to the COVID behavior or the appropriate behavior which is expected in the masses. People stop wearing masks, people start interacting more, people prevent social distancing, then the wave would eventually start up. But nevertheless, we all pray to God that a third wave wouldn't come or shouldn't come. But nevertheless, during the first wave and second wave, I'm sure the districts have done best to their capabilities, and all of us have been blessed with supplies from Government of India as well as our state governments, as well as NGOs and corporate bodies who have been doing to their abilities. I would like to thank Helix Media for once again for the opportunity provided. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Arun Mahesh Babu, for this wonderful insight and sharing your experience, and also the challenges of being one of the larger districts. Ahmedabad being the seventh largest district in the country, city in the country. Of course, the challenges of Ahmedabad would be different in complexities as well as scale, which you have been able to handle quite deftly in these times. You had mentioned about also the possibility of a third wave being directly proportional to the people's or the citizens' adoption of COVID appropriate behaviors. Yes, it could not be further from truth that more we deviate from the COVID appropriate behaviors, the more would be the likelihood of a even more deadly third wave creeping in. So we hope that that situation does not arise in. So we are slightly running behind the schedule now. Without taking much time, I now invite our young administrator from the district of Bijnor in Uttar Pradesh, Mr. Bikramaditya Singh Malik, a 2018 batch IAS officer, who is at the forefront of this battle against the COVID. Over to you, Mr. Bikramaditya Singh Malik.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mishra, and a very good afternoon to all respected seniors and everybody who's partaking in this session. The challenge for the last speaker of the day is that most of the topics that I had in mind have already been spoken about by much more experienced civil servants than I am. So I have very little to add to them, but what I can do is try and give some small examples of the points that have already been spoken about by respected seniors prior to me. What we saw during this second wave of the pandemic was, which has already been mentioned by Sonal Goyal ma'am and then Rajkamal sir, was an unprecedented collaboration or convergence between the private and the public sector. And in this, I'd like to talk about the role of civil servants in acting as a facilitator or implementer of sorts in ensuring this convergence. So Bijnor is a mostly rural district with a very different demographic divide or a composition as compared to other districts which have been mentioned here. So the challenge that we faced was, again, that we were trying to do firefighting. We were fighting a pandemic, a disaster, and upgrading our health infrastructure at the same time. But our constraints were that, number one, upgradation of infrastructure doesn't happen overnight. And as we all know, the allocation for our health budget out of the GDP is about 1.52% per year out of percent of the GDP, and which the government is increasing, but it doesn't happen overnight. So what we did need in terms of resources was convergence between the private and the public sector. And the second challenge that we had was how to implement this. So as a civil servant, traditionally known to have an anonymous sort of a figure and an anonymous face working behind the scenes, that role, I believe, this pandemic has changed. What we saw was even senior bureaucrats, politicians, businessmen being on the same level. The pandemic was a leveler in terms of access to resources, in terms of access to beds, oxygen supply, etc. So in that, people with a good social capital and people with a good network capital sort of could help augment the system and synergize the private and the public together. So the example that I'm trying to come at is, we had done a project in Bijnor called Bikes of Bijnor, which we sort of reached out through social media, and we got some attraction a bit on the national level. It was because of that project that a lot of these fundraisers and organizations approached us during the second wave of the pandemic, and they said that, we know that there is a good team in Bijnor. We know we have the funds. There were two kinds of organizations, as we all know. There was one, the Hemkund Foundation kind of organization, they were trying to directly implement their works on the ground, have parallel hospitals, have oxygen supply network, and give it through a private source. The other was a set of fundraisers and private organizations who had the resources, who had the capability of getting oxygen concentrators, BiPAP machines, cylinders, oxyflow meters, ICU beds, but they did not have the capacity to implement it. So there came our role as facilitators. I can name at least 2-3 organizations that got in touch with me on their own, and they said, everybody is helping Delhi, everybody is helping Bombay. We want to help a rural area where not much help is reaching, where you do not have the health infrastructure. All we need is a credible source in terms of an efficient bureaucracy who will ensure that this help reaches the right places. So here we were acting as a facilitator between, we got, just from these networks who approached me post Bikes of Bijnor, we got 100 oxygen concentrators in the thick of the wave. Now we have many organizations like PTM Foundation and Bill and Melinda Gates who have given us a lot of infra during setting up of the PICU and after that when the way was on the wane. But during the peak time, there were very few because there were import issues, there were other clearance issues. So there were very few help that was reaching. But we, just because of this outreach, and I'm talking about the role of a civil servant in today's world, just because of this outreach, we got 100 oxygen concentrators, about 10 ICU beds with monitors, 15, 20 non-invasive ventilators and BiPAP machines, which we equipped either private hospitals who had the doctors or our PHCs and additional PHCs and CHCs. So, for example, our oxygen concentrators were sent, five oxygen concentrators we sent to PHCs and additional PHCs and CHCs, which made sure that healthcare actually reached grassroots levels and not only district hospitals. The BiPAP machines, we needed skilled doctors to operate them. We were happy to act as a gap between these contributors and say some private hospitals which had the doctors, so that we could make sure that through convergence, healthcare is reaching people somehow. Under the guidance of the Honorable Chief Minister, we also capped rates that private hospitals could charge, and we could ensure it through various enforcement teams. So I think our role as civil servants was redefined during this pandemic is one point I want to make. Another point I want to make is that governance, really, whether it was during testing, treating, tracking and tracing, or whether it is through the vaccination system, there is a shift in governance from people coming to hospitals and people coming to the system to the government setup going to villages and door to door. So Rajkamal sir mentioned our approach in UP, where I want to just add to that something that was done across the state with some minor changes in various districts were the concept of Nigrani Samitis and rapid response teams and surveillance teams. The WHO also recognized the effort in UP where a surveillance abhiyan was carried out where, through oximeters and thermal scanners, an entire door-to-door testing abhiyan was carried out. This, coupled with containment, coupled with testing of symptomatic persons, coupled with distribution of medicine kits on the ground, really made sure that administration reached the ground instead of vice versa. And now with vaccination, as sir has said, what we are doing in Bijnor is that we have started from the northwest of the map, and we have our static vaccination centers, and we have our randomly allocated vaccination centers which we take to the villages. So from the northwest, we are sweeping village by village and trying to cover vaccination, which is done at a record pace. So we started with 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 vaccinations being done across various categories, as Rajkamal sir mentioned, whether it is for parents of above 12 or below 12 children, whether it is for members of the press, the judiciary, our frontline workers, all various categories. We are taking them to the villages and GPS-based tracking and mapping of our vaccination abhiyan. Now, these are coupled with everything being monitored at a district level, ICCC, a command and control center, even something as small as giving a CCTV feed of our district hospital to ensure that all doctors are visiting on time, cleanliness is being ensured, food is given on time to patients. That was connected with the ICCC and monitoring was being done real time. We also did very small interventions. For example, we have, through this social network that I spoke about, we have an India Food Bank network. That food bank network donated us 10,000 packets of biscuits, 1,000 packets of milk, powder, coffee, tea, candy, chocolates. That what we did was we got through our NRLM, as ma'am spoke about convergence between various departments. Through our NRLM, we set up Didi canteens at all our L2 hospitals, and we ensured that this material was given to them, and all patients, apart from their regular food, were given energy-rich food like chocolates, milk, coffee, 3 times a day, free of cost. And it was a push to our NRLM canteens, Didi canteens, and we could deploy these resources. Finally, I'd like to speak about a post-COVID example in Bijnor, where we converted after the first wave, where we tried to use a crisis and convert it into an opportunity, was our Bikes of Bijnor system. And I hope something like this, positive can come out of the second wave as well. We all read about the migrant labor crisis that happened last year. In Bijnor, a lot of the migrant labor they were coming through cycles, and these cycles were left and deserted, and they were sent through special trains. When I joined, we saw these cycles deserted at police chowkis. We tried to give employment to local mistries, get these cycles repaired and renovated, and we envisioned and implemented a waste to wealth public bike sharing program. So we tried to convert an opportunity, a crisis, into an opportunity. This was, it is being used by general public, where anyone can pick up a cycle from anywhere and leave it anywhere. Of course, hoping that there is no third wave, and hoping that we come out of this second wave. We are already coming out of it, but hoping that we come out of it even stronger. Let's hope that if any loopholes were left in the second wave, we can somehow use this private-public convergence to equip our additional PHCs, prepare for a third wave, use this opportunity to upgrade our health infrastructure, to attract hospitals, doctors to government hospitals, as was done in Bombay very efficiently by the municipal commissioner there. And if at all there are any such crises, we can try and convert them to opportunities through leadership and collaboration. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Vikramaditya Singh Malik. As rightly pointed out by you, that there are challenges of being a last speaker, that most of the points are already covered by the time his turn comes. But every speaker comes with a new perspective. That is the beauty of the human minds. Thank you for sharing your insights about the COVID handling of a district in such a beautiful manner. You spoke about a beautiful concept of course, public-private convergence, and you mentioned a very relevant point, which is relevant particularly in today's context in 21st century India. That from the time of a time where the public used to go to the administration, these days now the time has come that the administration is going to the public and getting administered the crisis management program, whether it is vaccination or whether it is education about the COVID appropriate behaviors, or whether it is about overall education of the general masses. You also spoke about a beautiful concept of the role of the civil servant being redefined by this crisis. Yes, it's true that this pandemic has taught all of us, a magnitude of such a crisis of such a magnitude has taught all of us some new paradigms of public governance as well. Then you were mentioning about the Nigrani Samiti in each district. Of course, there must have been certain minor tweaks here and there, but the Nigrani Samiti, as complemented by the World WHO, is also worth mentioning here. Then you mentioned about the real-time monitoring through live CCTV feeds in the district command and control center, wherein even the minutest details were being brought to your notice. And of course, you mentioned about the interdepartmental coordination as well. So thank you so much, all the respected speakers here. I'm totally out of time. I had some questions from the public here, and I was thinking to pose those questions to you, but this is a live link, as I already mentioned in the beginning of the program. If I may request other speakers, Mr. Nitin Singh Bhadoria, District Magistrate Almora, and Mr. Arun Singh Babu, District Collector Ahmedabad, if they are still there, to come on the camera, please. Madam Sonal Goyal is still there, so I am delighted to see you, because you are mentioning about leaving early for a meeting. So thank you so much for being here, although the program is running late. So I will request my backend team to present with the speaker certificates. This certificate of participation as a key speaker is for Madam Sonal Goyal, Special Resident Commissioner, Government of Tripura in New Delhi. Thank you so much, Madam Sonal Goyal, for putting a perspective. Then the next certificate is for Mr. Nitin Singh Bhadoria, District Magistrate Almora, Government of Uttarakhand. Thank you, Mr. Nitin Bhadoria, for coming here and sharing your perspective of COVID management despite the logistical challenges in the Hill District of Almora. The next certificate is for Dr. Raj Kamal Yadav, District Magistrate and District Collector, Bagpat, Government of UP. Thank you, Dr. Raj Kamal, for coming here and sharing your views. This certificate for Mr. Arun Mahesh Babu from Ahmedabad, District Development Officer, Ahmedabad. who shared his perspective on COVID management at his district of Ahmedabad. And finally, the last certificate for Mr. Bikramaditya Singh Malik, Joint Magistrate, Bijnor, who came with a fresh perspective of the crisis management and gave his own unique ideas about managing the crisis so effectively. So with this, we come to a conclusion of this interesting panel discussion and a very relevant panel discussion in today's times, the management of COVID pandemic, particularly in the context of the recently concluded second wave and also preparation for the third wave. We do hope that this knowledge exchange program has come out with some new unique initiatives and new knowledge sharing ideas which other regions of the country may like to imbibe from here. So this is the conclusion of this panel discussion, but not the conference. This is 2 days conference. We'll continue with other panel discussions going forward today as well as tomorrow. Thank you so much, all of you, respected ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.